All right, guys, welcome back to Pleb Talk. This is episode 12, I believe. It's been a while, and I'm glad to be back. Now, as you can see here, Sean is not present. He will be back, though, just not for this episode. We have a special guest here. I want to present my good friend, Matt. We are drinking some canijilla lemon pepino cucumber drink, and I am wearing a 2018 away Belgium jersey, I believe. So here goes to this episode. Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Hey, everybody. We have a quick little word from our sponsor, Anchor.
Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. We also upload to Google Podcasts.
That's right. It's really just that simple in the sense of copying your podcast link and throwing it into that podcast distributing website. And from there, it's all hands off. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And what's the best part about it, Asael?
The best part, Sean, is that it's completely, totally free for everybody. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. To find our direct link would be anchor.fm/Pleb Talk Official.
And back to the episode.
All right, Matt. Welcome to the podcast, man. How you feeling?
It's great to be here. What can I say? It's been a minute since I've been on air.
Yeah. Well, this is our first guest, man, and usually Sean gets the whole technical side and the logistics side of getting the podcast running. This is my first time, so hopefully, if you guys are watching this and hearing it with good or somewhat good audio, then it was a success. If you never see this video, then unfortunately I didn't do it. But hey, man, welcome, dude. How you doing? What's going on? What's new, bro? What's up, dude? Hey.
I don't even know where to start. It's been a pretty busy week.
Yeah,
a lot
dude.
going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on in the world. A lot going on in life. The macro and micro.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. So I'm just gonna, get right into it. I'm gonna ask you a question, and we'll see what happens, bro. We'll see what happens. What is purpose? How do people find purpose? Why is it hard, or maybe it's easy? What do you think? What? Let's unravel the question. What is purpose, man?
I think it varies between each person.
Okay.
You can't really specifically say what one's purpose is. And I don't think it's something that you find out through traditional means.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't even ever find their purpose.
And that's unfortunate. Well, see, there's some people that like kind of go through their lives and might not even ever like ask themselves like, I gotta go find my purpose. Like, sometimes it's like too cartoony for some people. Maybe it's like, purpose. So you just kind of go to work, you kind of go feed your family, you pay rent, and that's just kind of life. There's no purpose and romanticism of accomplishing life. It's just kind of go through it. And then there's like, I think people like us where we're like, no, there's something that we're not like religiously or anything like that. Like we have to, accomplish certain thing, but maybe something that we feel that before we pass or go away to whatever's next, we must complete. I don't know, dude. What do you think?
I think it's much easier to avoid your purpose than it is to actually find it. Because when you think about it, finding your purpose is very much deconstructing the values that created you.
Okay.
So you're looking at your entire foundation of your life, so who you are as a person, and questioning everything, the good and the bad. And I think it's easy to look at the good, and it might be a little bit more difficult to objectively look at the good.
Yeah.
But looking at the bad is a much darker path to follow, because you have to see everything, and you have to see everything as it is. There's no excuses for who you are.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the values that are given to you when you're born are from your family and from the different sociological factors that are kind of really imposing themselves on you. So, society, education, all these different things. So at the end of the day, it comes down to you questioning those values and finding out what your true beliefs are. That's kind of part of the purpose finding, rather.
Yeah, because a lot of times, we might be raised or brought up in maybe a bad area, like in a society, right? It might not even be your household, right? It could be like, your types of friends that you make, or the streets you grew up in. And a lot of times people find purpose within that at a very young age, and it just might not be, uh, right. It not might be right. That's just like the best way to put it. Not meaningful or whatever. And those people might not come out to be good people once they grow up to be adults, right? Because they never, like you said, like stepped back and looked at, okay, this is what I was taught or brought up with. Does it go in line with what the whole world? Not that you have to follow what everybody else is doing, but obviously there's right and wrongs through society. Not everybody does that, man. I think a lot of people like end up in prisons because of that, because of maybe like wrong influences, and I don't know, dude. It's so much to think about that of purpose, whether we should or not, dude. Is there happiness with finding your purpose? With finding your purpose, do you think that it's also like a pathway to happiness, or does happiness and purpose not have much in common? What do you think?
I think they're directly tied together.
Oh, okay.
But it's very complicated because it depends on how you define happiness.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Nietzsche. I don't even know if I pronounced his name right. I always pronounce it wrong. Nietzsche, yeah. But essentially, the way he described happiness is something along the lines of kind of following your purpose, whether it is difficult or not, and kind of enduring hardships and going through multiple things in order to achieve a greater fulfillment. So essentially, happiness boils down to fulfillment. So that's kind of where it ties into purpose. But I think talking about purpose is almost privileged in a way, because you had mentioned people that don't necessarily have access to a lot of the resources and things that people of higher privilege might encounter. And so when we talk about purpose, it's a very privileged thing to talk about in a way, because so many people lack the resources to search for purpose, because there's so much going on. When you're in fight or flight, you don't really care where you end up as long as you survive.
Give me an example of maybe someone that doesn't have the opportunity to complete or pursue their purpose because of a obstacle, like, I don't know, money, maybe, opportunity, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that might not have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And as a society, we have to look at that and figure out how we can help people grow as a whole. Okay. Purpose is part of that, but it's not necessarily all of it.
Right.
But it is very difficult, even without, even with privilege, to figure out those things. But without it, it's much more difficult. So it's very hard to find a solution to something like that.
Yeah, because for example, maybe some kid in a third world country might, believe, right, that his purpose is to be an architect and construct a skyscraper, right? First of all, living in a third world country, education might cost money, right? So that's just from K or to high school, whatever they have in that country, and then it's going to college and then masters and whatever, and then so that right there is not saying impossible, but quite hard as compared to someone that lives in the United States, where it's really more of a decision rather than having the money. It's like, okay, there's scholarships and stuff like that. I can, even if I don't have the money up front, there's a way for me to get there some way, somehow. Now, have you found your purpose? No. Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's an ongoing process for me. Right now, if we want to talk more about from a philosophic standpoint, I have a friend. Okay. He runs a TikTok called The Science of Philosophy. Yeah. So, follow that if you get the chance. Absolutely. But I asked him about this one night at 3 a.m. I was like, how does philosophy look at purpose? Yeah. And he saw it as, he mentioned Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which was a book by Nietzsche. Yeah. But he described it as a 3-stage process. And the first is you essentially are what is called a camel, which is something that you have been put into this situation where you have these values and you follow them. You're kind of just moving through life. You have unquestioning. You're kind of just witnessing and growing.
Okay.
And then the second phase is the lion.
Okay.
Now you're somebody that questions. You're questioning the very essence of who you are as a person,
Okay.
your values, your beliefs, everything. And this is kind of that phase in early adulthood where you really try and come into your own.
Right.
And then the final stage is actually the baby, because they are very much kind of in the present. They have their own set of beliefs. Again, you're pretty much a blank slate. At this point, you're unassuming in a way,
Okay.
and just very much reacting to the world around you in a very natural sense.
Interesting.
And I mean, I think as a whole, very old people and then very, very young children are kind of
on the same page as far as
yes,
experiencing everything. Now, with this, what would you call it? Formula, maybe, or
kind of like a structure.
structure.
Yes.
Do you not that I'm trying to like argue or anything, but do you think that, because I believe purpose can change, right? Like you can find
Mhm.
it, not necessarily a new one, but maybe a better one, or a certain different tweak on what you thought was your initial purpose. I would think that that might be the only like the weak suit of the structure, just because it doesn't really allow for you to, move
Mhm.
around with it, assuming that you're already at the baby phase or old person age, elder age. Now, go back to why you haven't found your purpose. Is it because maybe you found one at a time and you thought, no, this is, I was on something for a second, but now that I'm at this stage with this purpose, I can't see any further from this? Or have you just like really your compass hasn't really aligned yet?
I think like going back to the structure that I had mentioned,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a way of finding purpose, but it's more a way of finding a true self.
Okay.
And I don't think you can know a purpose without knowing your
Okay.
true self and who
That's
you
fair.
are as a person. So I think I'm in that phase right now, trying to figure out who I am
Yeah.
as a person. Because I think it's strange. You have kind of almost a guide map
Right.
that leads you
Yeah.
down this road. You go to school,
Yeah.
you go to high school,
Yeah.
you go to college maybe.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's nothing. You kind of
Fend
follow
for
your
yourself.
career for the most part.
Yeah.
You have a major
Yeah.
that kind of guides that path. But aside from that, it's like if you don't like your job or anything like that, a lot of things come into question.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Very quickly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because so I'll say, at least from my perspective, I'd say that I agree. First, finding yourself is key, and then purpose will hopefully tag along, or it's a lot easier, clearer for you to find that. For myself, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, I kind of came to the conclusion where, now maybe I don't know if this is like as philosophical as maybe we're talking about, but at least my starting point, from the get go, my foundation is helping others. I came to the conclusion that I think that's what makes me most complete when I do, is helping others, whether it's like not necessarily like sacrificing myself for others to gain, but rather like assisting others when I see that I can definitely get them over the next obstacle. I can help them. I've done that before, so I can help them. Or even like situations where I've never been in, I simply like can get into what their world or their headspace is, and be like, okay, this happened, you could probably do this, and like me putting myself in that situation where I kind of like go through the motions with them of their hardships or whatever, and then finding out that they succeeded or they moved past that hardship really makes me feel good, man. And I don't know, maybe it's a little selfish. Maybe it's like, I do it, I want you to suffer so I can go with you, and then we can both get out of this. But really, it's just because I want to feel good. It's I doubt it's like that, but it sounds like that. I think that's where my purpose is now. Now the bigger question is like, okay, so now that I quote unquote found my purpose, does that mean I now have to find a career where I am constantly doing that? So big examples of that would be like like a nurse or something, like a hospital, maybe like a police officer or something like that, a firefighter. Those are constant service jobs, right? And I'm not really attracted to those jobs. Like I just am not. I'm not sure why, but they just they're action packed, and that I think I want something like that in as a career where it's like something always new, just boom 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 new, right? But I'm just not into that that field of work. So a little contradiction there. I don't know, man. I don't know. For career, like an ideal career, it'd be like a soccer coach or something like that. I would really like that.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with my purpose. I mean, I'm helping my team, right? But
Yeah.
that's about it. So I don't know, man. Big questions, and it's interesting that you brought that up because, yeah, after high school, college, like you said, if you go there, it's there's no like blueprint of what's next. It's kind of like, you know, you found a spouse, your boyfriend or girlfriend, I don't know, get an apartment, you get a house, you know, save up for a nice car, have a family, you know the rest. So it's like, I don't know, dude. Do you wanna follow through with that? Is that, or maybe it's like more of like an eventually thing, but like until then, I don't know what to do.
I don't like to make plans because it just seems like such a, you know, ridiculous thing.
Plans as in, what do you mean?
Just in general, you know. I think like, you know, small plans like are fine. Obviously, like
Sure.
if I want to go on a trip next year,
Yeah.
or something, you know, obviously that's a plan. But I just mean planning deep for the future, as not financially, but rather like I want to be this. I want to be this.
Okay.
You know, I want to do this.
Yeah.
It just, things change so quickly,
Yeah.
and I don't want to hold myself to a standard that doesn't
Yeah.
appeal to me later on. I don't know what I'm going to be like in 20 years, so I don't
Yeah.
want to make plans for myself in 20 years.
Yeah.
As long as I can support myself, that's fine, but it just doesn't seem fair to impose that on myself. So I'd rather just, you know, once again, continue down this route of trying to figure out who I am.
Yeah.
And every day that changes, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But as long as I have core values, I think like what you said,
Right.
having, you know, yours is kind of empathy and
Yeah.
caring for people. Mine's more creative. Like whatever I do needs to be creative based. So it's something that I enjoy, you know, and it is a little bit selfish as a whole. I think we can consider anything that makes us happy selfish in a way, but you know, I think it's more than that. It's more than that.
Yeah,
so I don't necessarily think either of us are selfish for that.
Interesting. Now, when you speak of being creative, and you know, obviously we're talking about art. So you put out a song before, or you have a song out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Space Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And I was jamming into the other day, Space Ghost stuff.
Thank you.
Now, art. What do you think about art as far as because look, so for example, this podcast, just on this last episode, I believe, I had talked to Sean, my co-host, and also like, art is so beautiful. It's like one of those only things that will live forever. Like not very many things are gonna live forever. You know, obviously we won't live forever, but what you do as art will. And I find purpose in that as well, because through this podcast, I want like my offspring and my generations after me to kind of tap into this and like see, oh, you know what was grandpa or dad outside like, and then I can kind of find purpose in helping them through what I speak on here or what I've learned or whatever, or my, you know, maybe I mess up or something, I say something wrong on here, and they can then learn from that. With your art, do you find some sort of like message that you're putting out there for your offspring as well? I know you only have one song, but you know, I'm sure that you are looking for inspiration all the time to put more music or more, I don't know, art, actual physical art or online art. Do you find, or do you kind of see, or why do you make art? Why?
I think it's more necessity than anything.
Okay.
And you know, the song I have online right now is only one of like hundreds I've made, but it's such a personal and intimate thing. I don't want to put anything out unless it's something that I want to put out, you know? There's a lot of things that are personal to me that I don't necessarily want to put out there, but...
Do you have lyrics on other songs?
Yeah, on other songs. A lot of other ones, but I just don't... I don't put those out as much. And part of it's also like kind of taking a perfectionist approach to those things.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put anything out unless I know it's like incredible. And I don't think I'm at that level yet, you know?
That's the problem with an artist. I feel like they're a little bit too picky on themselves. They're too hard on themselves. And, you know, I'm sure that that's the only song I've ever heard you play it. No, you know what? No, you sent me some samples before, I think, actually. And I don't think any of them had lyrics, though, but all of it was pretty good, like catchy, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny that you say that. I never thought about that, about you thinking that you put too much of yourself out there. Of course, if you have lyrics on there, then of course you're putting some sort of message or I don't know, story that happened to you. I don't know. But songs without lyrics are just a little different, but still very personal in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the whole creative process. But damn, dude, that's crazy.
Well, I think with sound as a whole, you know, it's with art as a whole rather.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, there was this book. I can't even remember the name, but it's by this author, John Letterock. And he talks about this painter, and when she was younger, she grew up in Colombia, and it was when, you know, Pablo Escobar had been killed, and pretty much every gang over there were just involved in a massive like conflict because there was a vacuum, power vacuum. And so during this time, she witnessed like atrocities, like absolute atrocities. Her family, members of her family were killed, things of this nature. So what she did was she started painting. And I also saw it in a movie where there was this man, it's called The Missing Piece, and this man was in, I can't remember where, I'm blanking on the place right now, but it was during the Khmer Rouge's rule, and Pol Pot was the dictator. And essentially he witnessed his whole family being slaughtered and all these horrible things. But when he made a movie about it, he used clay figures to tell the whole movie, and he projected things onto them. So he projected historical footage onto the clay figures.
I see.
And same with the painting of the woman that I previously mentioned. She painted things that...
Were they abstract?
They were abstract.
Okay.
And it was because when it comes to dealing with things that are that heavy, or just emotions in general, it's hard to speak on them. It's hard to kind of explain them in words. Some things are beyond words, and that's where art fills the gap. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be negative emotion like that. Like you can't.
Of course.
You can't. It's hard to describe love. And that's why, you know, I have a problem with a lot of artists that kind of are purely lyrical and try to tell a story with just lyrics.
Okay.
But without making the song feel like it's something.
I see.
You know, it's the same with movies too. You can write a beautifully written movie, but if the images on the screen don't take you to that place that's beyond words,
there's no connection.
Exactly.
There's no connection. Interesting. So this Colombian artist, she would do like abstract. Would she do like any figurines, or is it just kind of like, you know, like colors? Or
from what I remember,
how abstract was
it?
A
lot of just colors and different things of that.
That's
nature.
crazy. And that to her is personal, but for us, someone like us that would just, you know, see the painting without knowing the background, we'd be like, oh, you know, it's a nice color scheme, or, you know, contrast or whatever. But to her, that's, you know, emotions per swipe or brush.
Yeah, that's a weird thing with art too. I mean, mostly with like, actually, no, I would say with all art, but like the context is pretty important when you think about it. Like some would argue that it isn't, and a piece of art should be judged based on the piece of art. But I remember years ago, decades probably now, there was this piece, and it was a crucifix, and it just had a black backdrop, and it was this beautiful photo, but it was called Piss Christ. And people were like, why is it called Piss Christ? And it's because the artist had put this crucifix in like a small like black bucket and pissed on it. And took a picture and looked beautiful, but the context of the photo was outrageous. You know, like people were up in arms about this picture, Piss Christ.
I remember that. That was pretty big. That was like in our lifetime, wasn't it?
I believe it was in early 2000s or late 90s.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that quite vividly. And that's the interesting about artists, man. That's the interesting thing about artists. The perspective on which artists make things, and then the perspective where the viewers view the art, like two completely different like levels. Like for example, like movies, like, you know, we watch movies quite a lot, you know, and if you were to direct a movie, you'd be like, no, this is the good stuff, right? This is some good stuff, because like you putting out what you want, right? You like, this is exactly how I imagined this scene, and, you know, this actor saying this and the way that she responds, whatever. But then comes, you know, the theater opening day, and the fans not seeing your vision. I was like, what was the point of that? But you thought like, no, this is crazy. And the reception versus, you know, the artistry from the artist is two completely different things, and a misunderstanding perhaps. Now, does that mean that he's a bad artist or you're a bad director? I don't know. I don't know, because is your job then to entertain, or for you to entertain the audience, or for you just to, put out what you think is art? See, that's just that's kind of the question, is like, what is good or bad art, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just interesting, dude. That's just interesting, maybe are you a valid director type of thing? So with this Colombian artist, the reason maybe she got so much traction is because she was actually living in Colombia during those times, and like you said, she saw these things, so that kind of gives her some sort of validity, right? Like, okay, she knows what she's doing, type of thing. But now have someone that paints the same thing that she does, but it's from LA. So it's like, then it's like, kind of, what is the director or the artist bringing to the table before their work is presented?
I think the authenticity is important because, part of me kind of looks at artists like Drake who rap about, more like brutal topics sometimes at times,
Okay.
like violence and
Yeah.
things like that. But the fact of the matter is, like, that's completely out of his lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, but you'd also mentioned, like, kind of like, what's the purpose of making the art?
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder that too sometimes, because there was a time when I was like, movies are made to be enjoyed, and that's it. And I think sometimes movies require more than just your entertainment.
Okay. Absolutely.
And I think about the movie Stalker, and the director of that movie. People had such mixed reactions when that movie came out, and he said, "I don't care. Like, I'm only directing for," and he lives in, like,
for
Ingmar
himself?
Bergman
Okay.
and Akira Kurosawa. He was like, those are the two people I make movies for.
Yeah.
And it was just such, like, a interesting statement.
Yeah.
And he made, Stalker's a masterpiece.
Okay.
One of the greatest movies ever. And, the fact that he said that was just very interesting. I think a lot of movies, like, maybe they aren't necessarily made for entertainment, but they just require more of you.
And then we come to that question of, like, so whenever making a movie, you have to have a big budget, a company back you up, right? So whether it's like Paramount or Universal or something like that. And what they want is money, right? They could care less if you're spilling your childhood in a movie. They could care less. They want the money. So that's where we have, like, these superhero movies, right? And they're having, like, big budgets and crazy opening weekends and stuff like that. Now, is that art? Yeah, it's art. It is,
Yeah.
But does that make it better than Stalker? Does a Spider-Man movie make it better than Stalker?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's just, there's more widestream appeal to it. They're good movies, but, I wouldn't necessarily say they're my type of movie that I would go out of my way to go see.
Right.
But I still respect them.
Of course.
They're still well done.
So is it so maybe we're getting down to the definition of art. Is it how it makes the person feel after the fact? Like, if you leave Stalker, right, you leave in the theater, you're like, oh, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if it's, like, thoughtful or, like, a cliffhanger. I don't know what it's about, right? But does it leave you thinking, like, yo, that was crazy, like, the way that this character did that? Like, for Fight Club, you used to watch Fight Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll talk about Fight Club just because I know what I'm talking about. Is it's like, for at least for me, that was the very first movie I've ever seen where I was like, whoa, like, I couldn't believe a movie could make me feel that type of way, or a story could make me feel that type of way. Before that, it was just a bunch of superhero, like, action movies, whatever. You just leave the movie. That was a cool jump he did, and that's about it. But with Fight Club, I was like, I couldn't believe I invested all this time believing that there was two main characters, but in reality, it was just one and his alter ego, right? And I just couldn't stop thinking about that movie. So I believe that movie, it's in itself, had a big impact on me as, like, an art. Whereas, Spider-Man movies, like, okay, that was cool that he came out, and then I go to sleep, like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's better art, right? I guess, like, the impact it leaves on the viewer or the customer.
Mm-hmm. I think, like, the reaction is important.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say what is and isn't art, though. I think, people. There was that one artist that just taped a banana to a wall, and it was art, and somebody came and ate it.
Yeah.
And, it's so difficult to say what it actually is. I mean, even, I'm blanking on the name. There was a Russian philosopher that talked about it, And like you said, like part of it was like a religious aspect, but that obviously doesn't hold up as much anymore.
Right.
So it's very hard to say what is art now.
Yeah. So what was he saying about religion? That was religion art, or what was his?
He was saying something along the lines of art is like religiously inspired in a way.
Okay.
And it's moral. It's moral. Art
Okay.
is moral. It's tied into morality,
Okay.
but more of a religious morality.
Yeah.
And I'm completely blanking. Leo Tolstoy, I think.
Yeah.
Tolstoy. I think that's who it was.
Yeah.
But the way he talked about art was pretty much like that was one of like the three main facets of what art is.
Yeah.
So
Morality. Interesting, dude. Interesting.
I think that kind of got turned on its head, though. You know, the surrealists kind of just like completely turned that on its head. It's hard to say what morality is, because you can define. We could spend as much time as we want defining art, but it's like somebody could easily come and just flip that over on us.
And they'd be just as right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Damn. Purpose and then art. Purpose within art. Making art.
Purpose within art.
I don't know, man. I mean, there's a lot to talk about there because it's so subjective, right? And like you know, back to what we said earlier, like those people that, you know, can't pursue their purpose or what they believe is purpose because of, you know, just opportunities aren't there. Like they could care less about this conversation right now. You know, it's like that they haven't seen any of those movies. They could care less. Like they're just trying to survive. So at that point, you know, is that not art to them? So it's I mean, just art's subjective. There's just no way around it. There's no way you can prove that something is not art, because everybody would have a different opinion of it. But that's just unfortunate too, because, you know, I feel like with the art that I like, I feel like so much passion towards it. I feel so much fulfillment from watching or listening to it or whatever. And the fact that some people can't get that same fulfillment is not unfortunate, but it's like I wish that they have their own form, right? I wish that they could find their own, you know, love for art, if you will. And not everybody does it. And I know some people that just like have no interest in any of that. They just kind of like live their life to like work, to eat, to feed their family, and to them, like in their world, that's all they need. Not to say I'm better or anything like that. Maybe they're right, but I don't know. Watching a flick here and there, like, really makes me feel alive. Like I'm spending time on something else that someone else made with their, or, you know, hopefully they made it with the intention to like inspire, right? And I felt that way. Or I felt that that way. So, you know, I feel like their mission was accomplished. But to all those people that could care less, it's like, it's whatever. It's interesting, dude. It's interesting.
The interpretations vary so much for everything too. So it's like sometimes it's very hard to watch movies with people that are very different from you because their interpretations are so just different, you know.
That's very true, dude. That's very true, because I mean, sometimes with like movies, especially, like there'd be times like a movie's coming out and, like, you know, A24, the production company, like if a movie of theirs comes out, like I have very few friends where I'll be like, yeah, this person, you know, I really want this person to go watch it with me. For the most part, I'd be like, if they can't, then I'll just go watch it by myself, right? Because I would really enjoy a movie like that, you know, like thoughtful and provoking and maybe cliffhangers and mysterious or something like that, psychological thriller or something like that. And some people just aren't interested in that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think some people are just like, they have different interests, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
It is crazy to think that people are just so different.
Yeah.
You know, you think like what you think just makes sense so much to yourself, and then like to talk to somebody else, you're like, oh, that's actually not what they think at all.
Yeah.
Like, you know, everyone's just so different. You know.
That's fine. I mean, that's what keeps it spicy in life, right? Like meeting these different people. Maybe there's someone that's like really into something that I haven't found yet, or we haven't found yet, and then they bring you onto that, and you're like, well, this is really crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope for that all the time. You know, I love to spice it up every once in a while with new forms of media. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Concerts, music, movies, right? This stuff for me is crazy. It's crazy for me. I find a lot of purpose in that as well, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like listening to that stuff or listening to new albums or if someone like sending me an artist like, hey, you'll love this guy. Like whenever someone recommends me an artist because they think that I'll love them, like I'll start like on the right foot with that artist. Like I instantly kind of like start liking it. Whether like if I would have found them on my own, I'd be like, oh, he's mid or she's mid. But had someone or since someone told me that I'd like them because from what they know of me, then I instantly have like they start like at 7 out of 10, right? Like no matter what the music is. And I have a couple artists I think that you'd like, man. I'll send you. You might already know them. I'll send them to you.
Who are they?
So I'll have this. You know how whenever you have Spotify, right?
Yeah.
So you know how like you listen to an artist and once like the album's over, like it'll start like recommending some like similar artists. There's this one called, man, I might butcher the name. I mean, I know how to say it. I just don't know if it's the right one. It's like Manhattan Club. I'll send it to you, man. Road Club or something like that.
No, never heard of them.
Yeah, dude, they're crazy. They're the Aquatics. You've heard of the Aquatics, right? Oh, okay. That is for sure a name of one of them.
Man.
Yeah, this is good stuff, man. I heard that one song. It's called "Walk On By," I believe. And man, I was on replay.
Walk On By?
Walk On By.
Is the one that goes like, walk on by?
I don't think that. No, there's no lyrics.
Oh, there's no lyrics.
Yeah, no lyrics.
Oh, man.
It's good. It's good. But that stuff keeps me on my toes, man. I love finding new music like that. And I feel like we have similar music taste, so keep me posted on anything you find. But that's I'm telling you, man, there's just so much joy in me finding like that. And then like going to like record stores and stuff like that and like seeing like an album I haven't seen in a long time or like a vinyl. Like, oh, you know what? I would really like to listen to this vinyl in a room, chilling, some candle on or something like that. And listening to music on vinyl is crazy, man. It is crazy. I'm not talking like drugs or anything, right? But yeah, exactly. Because you can't skip any songs, right? So like you listen to the way the artist, whether he or she made it like that or just decided to place the songs in that order. Like Pink Floyd, I feel like they have like a lot of thought on whatever, what song goes next. And to me, like those albums just hit, man. Those albums just hit.
Any album that I can listen to straight through is like an instant hit for me.
Yes. And yeah, nowadays that's not a thing, dude. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that artists today, and they still, reorder their songs whenever the album is released, but I don't feel like there's like, you don't have to listen to that direction in that order. Whereas like song or artists from like, I don't know, 20 years plus, like listening to the whole album as a whole and in order was the only and right way to do it. Why do you think that is? That kind of is a lost art, if you will?
I think it's pretty clear to me that things are just changing in a way that people's attention spans are shorter, first of all. But more importantly, like it's so much easier to sell a song than, you said like, why aren't people doing it anymore? It's, people are doing it.
Okay.
But you don't hear about them because who wants to listen to a whole album these days? If you can hear one song on TikTok, then you'll listen to that song and find that artist. But if a song is relying on the context of an album, it's gonna be much harder to sell that song. I mean, think about To Pimp a Butterfly versus Damn. To Pimp a Butterfly is a masterpiece, one of the greatest albums ever made. But Damn's the one that won the Grammy. Did both of them win a Grammy?
Not the best rap album of the year. I believe it was just Damn.
Yeah,
I believe it was just Damn. It might have won like a Grammy for like a song, perhaps. Rap song of the year or something, or music video of the year. There's so many, but I want to say Damn was the one that won the rap album of the year. But now that we can talk about the Grammys too, just for a second, just because I also feel like they kind of felt bad that they messed up and they knew that Kendrick deserved it for that album, and they're like, you know what, we really messed up that last year whenever it came out. We kind of have to give it to him now, regardless of what he puts out. Because, without a doubt, us being fans, Kendrick fans, we'll admit that To Pimp a Butterfly is way better than Damn. But Damn won the Grammy. So, like, in the Grammys, defense, they'll be like, yeah, he won an album, it just wasn't for the right one that we think, but, he still won one. So,
Now I'm wondering, did Pimp a Butterfly actually win a Grammy? Because I know Good Kid, Mad City was the one that lost to Macklemore.
Okay.
But now I'm thinking, like, am I able to? Can I Google during the podcast?
I got you right here.
Jamie, bring it up.
To Pimp a win a Grammy. It won. Oh, it did. Yeah, it says including a win for Best Rap Album and an Album of the Year nomination.
Oh, To Pimp a Butterfly won both?
Yeah.
Oh, this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I guess, like, in general, people think Damn is the better album. But I think, like,
yeah, no.
a lot of that's because Damn is just full of songs that you can play one off.
It is, yeah.
And it's true. I mean, it's a lot catchier, but I think To Pimp a Butterfly demands more of the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's a lot to ask for nowadays. Because, like you said, we have that music on TikTok where it's like instant gratification. Like, and it's the beat too. It's like, it's a drop of that one song. The song might be like 3 minutes, but we only know about 25 seconds of the song because of TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have TikTok, but I I've seen those clips where it's like the catchiest part of the song. Like, that sounds like a good song. Let me go check it out. And it starts all stupid. It's like I don't care for that part. Get to the good stuff. And then I lost instant interest in that artist as a whole because of it. So maybe because it's instant gratification for a lot of artists, we also are a little bit harsher on it if it doesn't give us that instant gratification instantly, right? And then there's artists like Kendrick Lamar where you have to invest. Like, you just can't, like, you won't be in there like, this is incredible, I can listen to this one song forever. Like, you kind of have to like go deep into his discography and find out where is he coming from, what has he gone through, because you're interested, right? Like, you want to know more about the guy and his experiences, and to do that is only by listening to albums as a whole in order. And a lot of artists is like you said, it's just like one hit wonders, but a whole album worth, right? Like, it's like no matter which way you listen to it, backwards, forwards, or just pick whatever you want, like, their intention is to grip you on like catchy sounds and whatever, right? Not no real intellectual and thoughtful reasoning. I don't know. I'd say that there's no music order or chronological order anymore. It's just because I don't know if artists care that much anymore.
If artists care that much?
Yeah. I mean, I know there's artists that do.
Yeah.
You're right. There's definitely,
No, I see what you're saying.
I'm sure there's the batch, Krungbin, I'm sure, because their stuff kind of goes with the flow as well. But I'm sure that also there's artists like don't really consider their music art anymore. It's almost like they're kind of in there for that money to make the the pension real quick, and then they're out. I mean that's just the case with a lot of artists too. Like, not everybody's in the game, quote unquote, for as long as they wish. So sometimes, like, we have to put these hitters out now, if before we lose traction. And it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. But maybe the standard's low now. I don't know.
I think the standard is just it's much higher for artists, but it's not the right standard. Like, you don't have to make it music that's as brilliant, but it just needs to be. But it needs to be like twice as catchy. It needs to be like incredibly catchy, because now anybody can make music, and that's really opened up a whole wormhole.
Yeah,
the internet's really changed everything as we know. I mean, prior to mass communication across the world and everything, we had like eras that were 50 to 100 years long, whereas now it's like every 10 years is an entirely different cultural zeitgeist.
Yeah. And that just kind of all follows with technology, really. And as fast as technology grows, but now we're also like in a time where like everything's kind of blending, don't you think? Where like BTS, for example, like they're here, I think they're touring here in the United States right now. It's like they used to be like just, I believe they're from South Korea, so they must have, I don't know their history or anything, but they must have just been like South Korean artists for about maybe like 3 years before they became like worldwide known, and now they're touring the world. Whereas like before, like maybe like the Beatles, it took a while for them to like cross the pond and become like world artists over here in the United States. Well, maybe not, maybe they're a bad example. I think they kind of hit it off pretty quick. But maybe someone like Joy Division or something like that, maybe they never got the chance to come over here and become like world known, because that technology wasn't up to these standards that we have today, where like we're able to buy their CDs now. Back then it was just kind of like Liverpool or Manchester, wherever they're from, and technology is kind of like, I don't know if it's the culprit or to be thanked for, but now we kind of have like a mix of everything and everybody and music and cultures all over the place because of technology.
We're living in a very strange time because like we have music, we have like millions and millions of songs,
Yeah.
but they're all from within the past 100 years.
Mm.
And if everything before that, we have like 1,000th of human history and music ready, and the rest is just a complete mystery. But this is the first time we've actually been able to start making it.
Yeah.
So, to an extent, I almost think like it's kind of speeding up the cultural changes.
Yeah.
You know, because we have to create something new. You can't just keep making the same music.
Yeah.
And so every year it's a completely different type of music.
Yeah.
And not only that, but even with movies and everything, the envelope is just constantly being pushed.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's going to affect us. And we have this whole thing where it's like you can't be content with anything anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like you need something new. Like I need my media fill like ASAP.
Now, I'll be like devil's advocate for a second and say that film moves a little slower than music.
I can go with that.
Because maybe because music's so fast, right? Like it's 3-minute songs, right? 3-4 minute songs.
Yeah, the production value is a lot lower than music.
Oh, for sure. But with movies, like I get worried with movies because at least it's for the future of it, right? Because for one perspective, the whole action and money making side of movies, the whole like Marvel Cinematic Universe, like what's next of that, right? Now that they went crazy big, they got A-list actors for days, millions and millions of dollars spent on sets and whatever for this, Infinity War 2 parts that came out about 2-3 years ago now, or last year or something like that. What's next after that? I don't know what is next. How can you beat that? I'm sure they will, but will it be better? I don't know, right? And then we have movies from like Casablanca from like the 50s and 60s, like that still holds up to today, right? And ever since then, we have had great movies, maybe even better movies, right? But it still holds up to that standard, right? But it's not because the technology was so crazy, but the storytelling was so good. It has nothing that had been seen at that time, and since then we haven't had anything similar. Maybe some similar stuff, but it just didn't hold up because the original was so good. Now, let me ask you, how do I say this? No, I lost it, dude. I lost it. I wanted to ask you, like with Casablanca being so old and it's still holding up, like, is it worth redoing? Probably not, right?
I don't
like,
think so. It's hard to. I mean, you wouldn't see like a Godfather reboot.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say that any classic like that is worth rebooting.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, if somebody could bring enough of a twist to it, that's acceptable. But
are you beating a dead horse at that time? It's like it's already been done just fine. Like we aren't requesting another. But then we also live in a time where everything's getting reboots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or live actions, right? The cartoons are getting live actions. Or like, it was, what was it? Lion King was just fine as a cartoon. Like it was, okay cartoon looking animation, whatever. But for what we wanted or what we knew at that time was perfect. Why would you come over here and make a live action? What's up next? Aladdin came out too. I don't watch this stuff. But it's just money grabbing, dude. We live in a society where it's like, what makes the most money right now? And so many people were interested in Lion King when it came out like 20 years ago. Let's go ahead and make a live action with all this new CGI and stuff like that. And I'm sure it's gonna hit. I don't know if it did. I want to say it didn't, but I'm not sure. And man, we live in such a fast world, man. Are you disgusted?
Am I disgusted?
Are you disgusted? Are you like, dude, why do we live in this world like we have to have everything and everything right now?
I think it's because everything is available.
Yeah.
Everything wasn't available like that before.
Yeah.
We can go to a supermarket and get everything we need for food.
Yeah.
Then we can, while we're at the supermarket, we can order whatever we want for the next day off Amazon.
Yeah.
We're in an age where everything is immediate.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 60s, you had to go to a movie once, and you're like, well, I saw that movie, and
Yeah.
probably never going to see it again.
Yeah.
I'll go to the theater.
Yeah.
But now you can own the movies, stream them every day, over and
Pirate
over and
them.
over.
Yeah.
Everything's about immediate gratification because everything's immediate.
Yeah.
Everything's available immediately. So that's kind of messed up.
Unfortunate, dude.
That's kind of the goal of being present, though. Just kind of shutting that all away.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to be present, though. That's why, you know, monks and people that are Buddhists generally try and give away most of their possessions in order to not have that physical attachment.
And be grounded. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to be present, though.
Jesus, man. Jesus. And I was gonna ask you, like, what do you think is the biggest fault, or why is it that we are so non in the present? But it's got to be technology, you know, and envy, right? Like, you know, getting on Instagram and seeing, like, you know, a famous person, whether you like them or not, like, you know, they're in the beach, and then next day, you know, they're in Paris. Now they're over here. Like, you feel like you have to do the most. Like, oh man, you know, I got to start working, man. I got to start saving up, man, just so I can do this and that, and then post it on my Instagram and see what the feedback I get, and hopefully it's the same as them. And when it's not, you feel all depressed and stuff like that. It's like, man, come on, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, dude, just relax. Relax.
Yeah, at least like a level of anxiety about achieving those goals to be on par with your peers and everything. Yeah. And that kind of sucks, but it's you know, it's part of it. It is complicated though. Like being in the present is just such a hard thing. I mean, there's so many things going against us with, like, I mean, you know, with death scrolling, where you just scroll forever on your phone. Yeah. I'm a victim of that. I do that all the time. You know. So it's just hard. It's difficult. You know, there's so much content available.
To snap out of it. Yeah.
Like, how can you just slow down and just enjoy the moment?
And it's funny because, like, on Instagram, back to that death scrolling, like, on Instagram, it used to be, like, chronological, right? So, you know, you get to a point where, like, okay, I've already seen that, so I've already seen what I've caught up to. Now it's to the point where, like, once they know that you haven't seen a post from, like, 3 days ago, they'll toss it up there. So you're like, oh, I haven't seen this. When did this come out? Like 3 days ago. Like, why is it coming up after a post that just came out 20 minutes ago? It's like, oh, because you haven't seen it. So you can keep on scrolling and find some more stuff. So it's lucky that I saw when it came out. If not, I'll be like, oh, that's crazy. Let's go to the next one. Instead of just having like the picture that was posted maybe 20 minutes ago that I did see, be like, okay, I saw this already. I'm gonna shut it off. They're crazy on how they program this stuff so that you can just keep on being interested.
The algorithms are horrifying.
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram, the Reels ones. Well, the Instagram one's not as good. It's not as good, honestly. Okay. I get so many random videos on Instagram Reels. TikTok can be bad. Like, sometimes I'm like, how did this possibly end up? On my algorithm. Yeah. But then other times I'm like, this is like right up. This is like exactly what I needed.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
TikTok's bad, man. It's like
I don't
stay
have
on there
it
for like an hour straight.
It's bad. I always hear that stuff, and from everybody that has it, I hear the same thing. Now, not to say I'm special or cool that I don't have it, but how is it that it's so interesting? So from what my naive perspective of TikTok is just like people dancing and stuff like that, you know.
No, there's a ton of stuff on there. I get all kinds of crazy content, and it's like, you know, it's all short form, like 1 minute at most. It's usually like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and it's completely random. You can get like anything. Yeah. You don't have to search. You just keep scrolling. Yeah. So even if you find something you don't like, you keep scrolling, and then that updates the algorithm. Yeah. So eventually, you're just getting things that are like perfect.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And if you like something, it will show up. Like post similar to that will show up. One problem I have though is if I see something like crazy, like it'll like, and I rewatch it, I'm just like, what? Like, how did this end up on here? Then I'll get targeted by it again. Yeah. So that's where I don't like it, because I'll get some crazy content.
Now let me ask you this, man. Just to wrap this up, from what you know about social media, from your perspective, your answer, from what you know about social media, is it or is it not helping you find your purpose?
I would say it's not. Okay. But I don't think that is the purpose of social media.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
It allows you to connect to people, but I don't think it's related to purpose.
Okay. So the way you see social media is just more of like a entertainment, just like real quick, just gonna check out what's going on. I'm out.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to connect with people.
Yeah. I think that's a healthy way to looking at it.
It can help you achieve your purpose.
Oh. So,
but I don't think it helps you find it.
Okay.
Well, I guess it could for both, but
yeah, there could be
very
situations
niche way.
where it could help you find it, just because like maybe there's like an outlet you don't know about, and then you come across it, and I didn't know this was a thing. Job hunting, but that's not social media. That's more just like, I don't know, using the internet, right? For me, I think social media, it's fun, dude. It's fun. But it can also be like depressing and anxious. You can give you some anxiety and stuff like that. Like you said, like comparing yourself to your peers, right? Are you doing the most, right?
Oh my gosh.
And can you do more? And why aren't you doing more? And like those are the things that like, damn, dude, like I really got to step back. Once you start thinking about that, you went
that's
too
when
deep.
You start spiraling.
Yeah, and you're like, no, I got to get out of here, man. Like, and you've taken like a couple like breaks from social media, and dude, I respect you for that. I've been thinking about one, not because like I'm in a bad place or anything, just like I really want to like freshen up, right? And like maybe read a book for those like 20-30 minutes that I'm, not that I don't read, but spend something on something else. Maybe walk my dog a little bit more, spend more time at the gym, look at some like, I don't know, diets or something like that. Like just other stuff that can help me, even if it's just for a fraction of my life, like a little bit more of happiness, or talk to a cousin that I haven't talked to for a while or something like that. And how'd you do that, dude? How'd you do that? Or did you have to do that?
I think I had to do it. Sometimes I'm just like losing my mind.
Yeah.
I struggle with mental health pretty hardcore. So it's like sometimes I'm just like, I need to do this. I'm gonna like absolutely.
And how much did that help getting off of social media, or just taking a break from it? Not
a good amount.
Yeah.
But sometimes I need it. Especially for work and things like that, or if I want to connect with people.
Of course.
Sometimes social media is the only way to do that. I try to avoid it. Lately I've been using it a lot, but lately I've also been spiraling, so it's kind of like I don't necessarily need to. I'm not at the point yet where I'm like I need to get off because I'm like losing my mind.
Of course.
I don't know, it's not bad. I don't mind it too much. It's a lot of the negativity I used to get from it I'm not getting as much.
Okay, that's good.
But
now
some of the political stuff just drives me nuts.
Yeah, that'll do it, dude. Just because. Well, maybe like bad political stuff, like you follow people, or are you talking like the war? I'm sorry.
People's opinions sometimes just drive me nuts.
Yeah. So it's just like the people that you follow sometimes just be saying some stuff that's just not. Yeah.
It'll be things that aren't factual or things that are just completely misrepresented.
Is that Facebook?
Facebook especially.
Yeah.
That's where like you have all like your high school classmates that like never left their hometown and just have not like opened their eyes to different opinions at all for their entire lives, and they just have these ridiculous thoughts. It's the kind that would share like a meme and use it as like a factual source.
Yeah. Oh.
It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing.
Oh man, that'll do it, dude. That'll do it. Well, my man, thank you for coming, dude. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
My boy Matt here. I always call him my boy. My boy Matt here. He knows a lot of stuff about a lot of things. So we'll definitely have him back because the World Cup is coming later this year, and there's just some questions I have for him regarding that and that area of study. But nevertheless, man, I appreciate you coming, man.
Did you finish your drink though?
I didn't. That's a good call.
Did you? Check it on camera. I already finished mine.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers. There we go.
That's some good stuff.
End it.
That's good stuff, man. But thank you for coming, bro. We'll have you back soon.
Sounds good. Do we shake hands or anything at the end?
No, we kiss, bro.
We kiss like
after the camera.
On the lips, yeah.
Yeah, cheeks to start.
Okay.
And then we'll move to the side.
Okay.
All right, broski. You take it easy, man. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, bro. See you later. All right, bro. All awkward. All right, bro. Oh shit! It got hot.
It was hot as fucking here.